These blacks.
Mic check, mic check. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Back for another midday mini podcast. We have to talk about the big cultural shift that's taking place at the moment. I noticed not a lot of people around the Chitlin circuit of Black YouTube. I noticed not a lot of people are covering the Charlie Kirk funeral. Because why would they, right? It's not like they care about this sort of thing. But I care. I am interested in the overall direction of our social political climate. It's all fascinating to me. So I watched. I didn't. I'm not going to say I watched the funeral, no, but I saw a lot of the speeches. I think maybe in the morning because it looks like I got a lot of time coming up in the morning. So we might cover this one properly tomorrow and go over some of the stuff. There were some big moments in the speeches. I don't think you noticed, man. Stephen Miller is kind of shaping up to be like the conciliati right now. He's on one. Stephen Miller is definitely on one. There's this edit going around where they took Stephen Miller's entire speech and put it in German. Stephen Miller in German hits way different. It's kind of hard. I ain't gonna lie. It's pretty fucking hard. They translated his whole speech into German, and for a minute, if you closed your eyes, it felt like 1938 again. It was wild. It was an interesting thing, and I don't know that people have really grasped the complete significance of the moment. And when I say people, I'm really talking about the Chitlin circuit. Now, Dolomite, you made an interesting conversation, and this is really I really want to focus on this. This deserves a full show with proper content. But for now, we're just in the car running our mouths as I want to do. But as I go back and I rewatch a lot of the George Floyd funeral, and I listen to the speeches and the sermons, when George Floyd died, America was on trial. And by America, you could largely just put that on white people, just lay that right at their feet. But at the George Floyd funeral, if you listen to the speeches and the sermons, and just the people that were there. America was on trial, and we were all found guilty.
Take control. Take control of your city.
And so, of course, cities had to burn. People had to meet unfortunate ends. Stores got looted. Statues were toppled. A couple of careers were lost on the way. One guy had a statue fall on his head. He's still alive, by the way. I think that's perfect irony. Statues, they were pulling down the Thomas Jefferson statue, and Jefferson came back from the grave for one moment to enact revenge on this goofy nigga, and the statue fell on his head. It was poetic justice. But when you go back and you look at the whole thing, America was definitely on trial. And the big difference between that funeral and Charlie Kirk's funeral, America was finally standing up for itself. Not even going on the defense so much as willing to go on the attack. America has been on defense ever since Obama. And for a brief moment, Trump came in at the first term and tried to knock us off of that goofiness. And, the powers that be conspired against him. Everybody got sick and all. And then suddenly, after everybody got sick, everybody got all looty and shooty. It was really weird how the powers that be conspired in such a way. But Obama started out, his whole vibe was, America's on defense. He literally did the apology tour. And then Trump came along. It's like, fuck that shit. I'm white. I got big balls. And it was a whole vibe that everybody hated. And then we had 4 years in the wilderness with the old guy and his little diversity hire. And that was awful and that was terrible. And after all that, we were kind of willing to accept Trump and all of his Caucasian audacity. And he's an audacious Caucasian man. He really is. Even at the funeral yesterday, and I love him for this. I really love this moment, not just for him, but for us as America. Kirk's wife got up there and said that she forgives the young man, which I'm okay with a woman saying that kind of thing. I like people who have to be around children to have a forgiving spirit. I think that's an appropriate nature, and so I don't fault her for being forgiving. And I tweeted this earlier. It's okay. She's still just a girl, right? I know she's like 49 or whatever, but she's still just a girl. She can feel those feelings because ultimately it's not her job to do the killing anyway. So her feelings about the killing mean nothing. It's up to the men to decide who has to live and die about some shit. And so that being said, Donald Trump comes along and says, Charlie's better than me. Charlie wanted me to forgive my enemies. He wanted me to love my enemies, and I just can't. I hate my opponents. I do. I really hate them. And I love them for that. I really did. I love that for us as a goddamn country.
Give a nigga a break. Give a nigga a break. How much more can I take? Give a nigga a break. Give a nigga a break. Give a nigga a break. How much more can I take? Give a nigga a break.
SKC, what makes you think it's not already clipped and ready to go? I mean, I don't have your magical abilities. I can't make Trump, do laser eye things and all the stuff that the actual graphic designers can do. I'm not a graphic artist in that way, but I do have the clip. I am ready to go with the clip. You know what clip I really wish I'd have saved though? The one where he was telling this police or whatever, you guys can do whatever the hell you want. Because I know Snowman loved that moment. I swear to God, when Snowman heard that, he was like, Trump's talking to me. I'm Trump's number one guy. Trump said I can do whatever the hell I want. That was the best clip. But that always just kind of reminds me, though, like the moment we're in is so different from 5 years ago. The George Floyd era died. It was buried in the casket along with Charlie Kirk. And I think it's worth looking back at the moments that have come and gone over the last 5 years. Because I think if you just look at the nature of the George Floyd funerals. I keep saying funeral as if it was a singular event. He had three funerals, right? How do you kill a nigga once and bury him three times? Just that Negro mathematics, but we killed him once and we buried him thrice.
How do it equivalate?
I wonder who was in those other two caskets. I don't know. I'm confused. I'm not going to ask any questions, but the thing is, it was a very, very stage crafted production, right? Everything about George Floyd, from the quote protest, the mostly peaceful protesting, the media coverage, to the funeral, to the trial itself, everything about it was the most choreographed, stage crafted, Hollywood magic, phony thing I've ever seen. It was the fakest part of my adult life. I have never spent so much time and so much fake shit in all of my adult life as I have during the George Floyd moments. The George Floyd era was entirely manufactured. I'm almost willing to believe Floyd himself was a crisis actor, but I'm not going to go that far. I'm not going to Alex Jones the nigga. But the whole thing was crafted. It was manufactured particularly for peak black outrage. And when I look at the Charlie Kirk thing, right, this is not a manufactured movement. You don't have to pay anybody to go. How many people showed up for 2 days in advance? I think it was maybe 48 hours, maybe at least 36 hours ahead of the event. People were lining up. People were setting up outside. How many people came out to witness Saint Floyd and his final passing and his farewell ceremony? How many people came out to witness Saint Floyd, right? Because if Saint Floyd, if he was really the global touchstone movement that we were all told it was, where were all the people? Like, people came out in their individual cities to, like, burn, loot, and murder and get some free Jordans and a couple of TVs or whatever. But when it came to actually putting George in the ground, when it came to remembering the man, the life, the legacy, where were all the people? We had a very state managed affair. And not to say the Kirk thing wasn't a state affair either. It's definitely a state affair, but George ain't filling up the stadium, bro. I mean, they were comparing it to a WWE event, which it did look like that, no lie, with the red velvet carpet and the sparklers going off everywhere when his wife his widow came on stage. Like, yeah, it did kind of have, it was giving WWE, not gonna lie, right? But George didn't fill a stadium, bro. I think George could barely fill a couple of churches, which is to kind of get to a deeper issue between the left and the right. And this is all social, really. This isn't even purely a political criticism or observation, but it's very social, and it's almost this is an existential difference, really, between the left and the right. This gets down to the core fiber of beings between the two parties, or the two sides of this social dichotomy here. But the left wing has abandoned the traditional concepts of heroism as a general rule, as a just a reality of their social reality. They don't believe in the traditional order of heroism anymore. That's why, like, there's a channel I follow. I think it's called Fourth Age, and it's this guy. He just talks about comics all the time, but he doesn't actually talk about the literal comic book. But he kind of gets into the thematics of it all. And I listened to him a lot when he talked about like morality and justice as it applies to comic book archetypes. And there's a reason why certain characters work and have become popular, and certain things like the Avengers and whatnot, the X-Men, how why they kind of work. And it's because they, in their own rights, they all have hit certain heroism archetypes where, like, you discover the evil terrifies you, but you face it anyway. It almost destroys you, but you don't die. You survive, and you still don't run away. You come back stronger and harder and wiser, and you finally overcome the evil. Like, there are patterns to our storytelling that are archetypical, that extend beyond, all the way back to the beginning of human storytelling. And what happens with the left wing is that as they've broken from human reality, as they've broken from our existential reality, they have broken from our traditional concepts of what it means to be a hero. And so when you look at the left and their major public figures, like their public heroes, it's literally George Floyd versus Charlie Kirk. George Floyd is the Jesus figure of the left, as it were. And I'm saying Jesus figure because even that is something of an archetype in and of itself, right? He died for our sins and all that. And they cast George Floyd as the sort of sacrificial, heroic figure, although, and this is why, and this is a critical thing that's happened over time, and why we're in this kind of moment that we're in. And somebody hit a like button or something. Throw a dollar in the hat. You're not going to get this type of off the top of the dome philosophical exploration on the Chitlin circuit. All right, this is prime rib.
Give me the money. Give me the money for all that I would do. Give me the money.
Now, the problem with the left and with George Floyd, and with the left bigger than just George Floyd, as an existential reality of the left, they don't believe in proper heroism. Therefore, everyone they put forward as a hero is fundamentally flawed in a way that will only turn people away from them in the long run. That is why, as they attempted to make transgenders the heroes and the sympathetic Jesus figures of the left, all you did is turn away people who want to have children and families. All you did was turn away men who want to speak frankly about the natural order of things. All you did is turn away women who want to have some type of peace for themselves in this awful world. And this is a fundamental problem that the left wing has, both politically when we're just getting into the whole Charlie Kirk political figure thing of it, and then also too, I look at Black America as I'm thinking my way through this, and Black America itself has a problem with objective heroism. And this ties into what I was talking about with the issues of Black masculinity, being unable to have conversations about what a pure objective masculinity should or could look like, because every conversation about the Black man has to always be tied to struggle against the white man. There is no Black masculinity without first overcoming white masculinity itself, which is the problem. And so we don't actually have objective heroism. The people that are put forward as Black heroes have all been relatively flawed in some kind of way. And this is actually on purpose, I'm starting to believe. Going all the way into the back into the civil rights era, we got sold womanizers, wife beaters, homosexuals, and sexual predators as our civil rights heroes. Those are the people who are responsible for our so called freedom. What can we say of heroism if our heroes are the very people who we should be putting in jail? Look who the community makes murals to: criminals and feminists. My whole life, going not only in my own neighborhood in Brooklyn, but in other little neighborhoods. I just happen to know the few names and faces from my neighborhood, but all the pictures, all the names on the wall, most of them were niggas that was out here shooting niggas, bro. That's why they were loved, because they were brave enough to do it, because they were going up against the system. You know, they were renegades against the man. They're the real revolutionaries. They're the warrior class. You know that shit? And thank you so much, Miss Cantrell, with the 199. Appreciate you. Just warming up here. I don't have much time left, but I got to get this off my chest. There is no objective heroism on the left. And Dick Dug with the foul ball. They revere those who abandoned God and the overall system as a hero. You have to read Friedrich Nietzsche. That's where they get it from. Yeah, absolutely. And it's weird. Black folk reject God in the same way that they reject the white man. And for almost the same exact reason. Like, that's the white man's God, you know. They on some magical stars and stripes or whatever shit, you know, moon and the stars type shit. I don't know. They on some other burning rocks and incense type of religion. I don't get where they're going with this new age religion stuff. But even that is an attempt to kind of reject the traditional Christian sacrificial heroic archetype. And the problem that the left wing is having, and the problem that Black America, you know, the politically minded left wing Black America, the problem they're running into and will run into going forward is that you appear to have, this is a very, very harsh way to say it, but it's like somehow along the way, I remember Chuck D put it best. How do you sell soul to a soulless people who sold their soul? He was not talking about the white man when he named his album that. And you know, Chuck D is one of your pro-black, I'm black, y'all, black power, Ungawa. He's one of them rapping niggas. He never stopped. He was always that. And I remember years and years and years ago, he put an album out. How do you sell soul to a soulless people that have sold their soul? And this is a problem that the left wing appears to have, and it goes to, you know, black politics as well. And this looks like, and I'm thinking about the George Floyd thing as I say this, right? George Floyd, it was a soulless funeral. Whereas Charlie Kirk, the soul of America showed up to witness Charlie Kirk going on to the next chapter. I mean, I don't think there's a more obvious sign that Black America and the left in general is kind of losing its way than what we just witnessed with the general outpouring. There are still young men to this day sitting on college campuses asking people to change their mind. I don't think it's going to stop. I don't think the frank discussions about Black crime are going to stop. I don't think the noticing about Black female obnoxious behavior is going to stop. And the moment is pretty overdue, honestly, because as I look back at the George Floyd funeral and I think of just the moment of it all, great crimes require great punishment. I'm thinking of well, it was like a quote from Genghis Khan where he basically told Europe, I am a curse from the gods. If you weren't so wicked, he wouldn't have sent me here. And it kind of feels something like that is upon us. We have to pay for a great crime as a country. The George Floyd era was a gigantic sin. As a nation, as a culture. I mean, technically as a world, because they were burning things down in New Zealand and shit. It was weird, but that's what I mean about how great of a sin it truly was. And I think perhaps now we're beginning to heal from heal is the wrong word, but maybe we're finally moving on from the moment of sin that we were in under the George Floyd era. I'm not gonna get all biblical with it, but it did make me feel good to see so many people getting closer to their faith. I do like the idea that faith itself is being put on display right now. As for all the churches that they held funerals in for George Floyd, it didn't seem like God was in there. It just didn't feel godly. It was churchy, but it wasn't godly. Apparently, we're having a bit of a religious revival in this country, especially among the young men. Young women, not so much. They're still having hot girl summer. That'll be over soon too. But the moment the moment is officially over, and it's kind of been building up ever since Trump got in office. But I think the whole Charlie Kirk affair put a definite cap on the two. It's like two bookends. It was the George Floyd era, immediately ended by the Charlie Kirk era. Because in a lot of ways, it almost speaks to the differences in who the left and the right are, who your heroes are, what your values are, what your hopes are, what you are likely to do in moments of sheer hostility and stress and fear. I don't think there's been one right wing riot yet. Matter of fact, the left is still melting down. Some dude just shot up ABC Studios the other day. I think somebody else got arrested. Somebody got arrested outside of this Charlie Kirk funeral. Like the whole thing, it does kind of reveal the raw nature of, the one versus the other, which is only making the left look worse and worse. Which is to say, and this is the more uncomfortable reality of it all. Dick Thug with the foul ball, he says Charlie Kirk is probably saying, "Why are there so many black kids up here?" Look, even between the left and the right, people on the right wing can laugh at themselves, right? People on the right wing can absorb the punchline, even when you are the punchline, right? I think even Charlie would have laughed at that joke. Like hell, Charlie's people, they told South Park to put his episode of South Park back on air. Put his the whole Cartman as Charlie Kirk thing. Put that back on air. We can remember him as Cartman, and it's all right because it speaks to who the left is and who the right is fundamentally, and what the left and what the right are likely to do. And the left wing is simply unable to attract people to who they truly are. And then going a little bit further with that, and this is what makes the conversations that have been being had lately so interesting, right? Black America, you niggas don't have the juice no more, bro. I don't think it's quite setting in yet, but black politics is all but done. White guilt died with Charlie. The easy, moderate position died with Charlie. And for all the open, naked racial hostility that's almost one-sided at this point. It's a very lopsided game. I think patience is beginning to run out. We're having one of these hourglass moments. The sands in the hourglass are draining away quicker and quicker now. Aaron Magruder was so ahead of his time, and it was like what, almost 20 years ago when he put this whole that whole video out where white guilt is fading away. I mean, hell, that was literally under the Obama era, I guess, right? It was almost 20 years ago, like 2008, I think. And I listen to a lot of black folk. Like I said, I'm on this chitlin circuit a lot, and I listen to just the spirit of it all and the general tone and the emotional disposition of it all. And it just kind of raises the issue for me. It directly raises the question, are we the baddies? Obviously, I did as best as I could to transmogrify this Monty Python meme here. But the question still stands. Are we the baddies? I mean, if you are on the side that is basically tap dancing and celebration because, a guy who said some words that hurt your feelings, he got killed in public. If that's what makes your heart flutter, are we the bad guys? Are we the bad people in this play? It's a hell of a proposition, but this is the question that we're asking now. Are we the baddies? And not just in terms of Charlie Kirk, right? But it's a lot bigger than him. I mean, not just Charlie Kirk, but in terms of black folk, right? It's not just about Charlie Kirk. What does Black America stand for politically? What good, righteous things does Black America stand for politically? Less police, infinity immigration, women's reproductive health care. I mean, the thing is, we have to be so the position itself is so awful that we have to actually create colorful, sterile language to obscure the reality of what we're asking for. Women's reproductive health care is neither reproductive nor is it health care for the infant or for the baby involved, right? It literally stops reproduction by obliterating health care. Like, what objectively good thing does black politics want at this point? Like, if you try to work out, the objective good or objective evil, and then move from there, like, where does Black American politics fit into your scheme of what's objectively good and objectively bad? I'm getting the feeling we are way on the other side of that line. And so it does kind of just beg the question. And I think this moment was a great mask off for the country, for a lot of the individuals watching. There are a handful of videos going around on the tickety tockety where black people are like, you know what, I had to leave my church. People are mad at me because I don't think we should be celebrating right now. People are kind of noticing something right now. And it's not the most attractive look. It's not the most attractive look at all, but this is how we look right now. Spiteful, vengeful, and more dangerous than these other two. If the death of Charlie Kirk makes you happy, what would truly make you happy? If watching a man be murdered on television because at best he said some things that hurt your feelings, if that made you happy, what would make you really happy? What would make you truly happy? What would be like crack for you? It's a scary thought now. It's a scary question. Earlier today, I'm on a panel. I'm over on night Oh, sorry, phone calls coming in at the worst time. Can we mic check real quick? Phone calls be throwing off my headsets. Mic check, mic check, mic check. Okay, okay. So, are we the baddies though? There's a question I've been kind of building up to a lot lately. Like, oh yeah, I was talking to Beans this morning, right? I was on Nightish's panel and Beans came up, and there's a perfect moment too, where I raised the question, where did Charlie hurt you? Since you hate him so much and you're so satisfied with him being gone, where did he hurt you? And Beans, he kind of says a lot, but he's not actually saying much at the same time. It's like a very skilled behavior technically to say a lot of words, but not actually say much. And eventually we did kind of get something out of it where because a lot of white people liked him, that became an issue. So I'm like, so are we supposed to hate the white people now because they like Charlie Kirk? It was such a weird exchange. I'm gonna have to revisit that later because I hate these channels where you're having a conversation and then the hosts get mad and they spend $5-10 to fuck up the conversation because that's exactly what happened at that point. So I never got to really get back into that little swing of it, but it does kind of raise the question of like what why do you feel so justified in having such intense anger at this moment or even intense joy because a lot of you people are thoroughly happy and so like what did he ever do to justify such feeling and I think the fact that somebody so far away from your actual life generates such hostility does not bode well for your general nature, which is to say and to watch all this play out it kind of makes me look at a lot of niggas like maybe you are kind of the problem. Uncut. What does black people have to do with Charlie Kirk getting assassinated by a white man? Well, I mean, it's funny that you would raise that question. I wonder if you're asking that ironically, because you hosted a show where a lot of the people on the panel, you yourself predicted that white folk are going to have some type of reaction. I don't know if you went as far as your guest did. Your guest basically said they're going to launch, a Southern rebellion or some shit like that. Come Christmas time, a Christmas time crash out. That's what we heard on your panel, right? A Christmas time crash out. And the thing is, to some degree, though, after 5 years of the George Floyd era, niggas have earned a little crash out, bro. I think, this is what like the whole black fatigue conversation was building up to years before anybody was talking about black fatigue. This was a famous night, right here on this particular channel. It was like three different names ago. I renamed this channel so many times, but back then we hosted There Are Too Many Black Women in Public. This was a couple years ago when Twitter first started doing Twitter Spaces, and it was like all of the obscure Twitter races just kind of condensed into one online space, and it was perfect because again, it was a new feature on Twitter, so they hadn't quite got the kinks out, and I left that up for a while on this channel, but I had to remove it because we trying to make some money now, and that type of shit not gonna fly. But there was a lot of guys. There was a black guy up there, but it was a lot of white guys just telling there are too many black women in public stories, right? And this is years before black fatigue became a thing. Before it was black fatigue, it was just there are way too many black women in public. Like that was literally the title of their show. And I caught wind of it and I put it like I rebroadcast it on this channel and we were just it was amazing. It was so amazing. That's what kind of spawned that online meme of like all of my racist online friends, and it's like this diverse group of niggas who are all drawn together by their online racism. Get GG Original says Charlie was a racist. Fact. What you want to lie and say he wasn't when he was. Black people don't care. Whites want to have a great white hope that was about nothing. Okay, Mr. Original, even if you think Charlie was a racist, your president was a racist. All right. Joe Biden was a racist. All right. Joe Biden had a vigorous hatred for you niggas while he was young and virile. I don't see you crying about Joe Biden racism. Somehow Charlie's alleged racism shit itches your vagina or something. I don't know what's wrong with people. But anyway, Joe Biden was an actual racist, but he's forgiven, right? Now you say black people don't care. I beg to differ. Black people care a lot. Remember, black people made this about them. I covered it myself. Black folk were having full on shook nigga discussions about the white man having a reaction to this Charlie Kirk thing. It was fascinating. It was hilarious to watch. And then the last part is the best part here. Whites want to have a great white hope that was about nothing. Um, there are no black heroes at this moment, sir. And I think this is sort of internally, I think one of the problems that Black America is really struggling with right now. Being a people that seems to need constant leadership, Black folk don't have any leadership. I saw Hampton earlier today talking about re-examining Black leadership, and I think the thumbnail is literally like rappers and shit up there. Like there is no Black leaders. There is no leadership in Black America, right? Which is a little bit to go a little bit further because there is no true leadership in Black America. Like your hero is fucking George, bro. I mean, come on, Mr. Original, your hero is fucking George. What type of positive life inspiration can you conjure up from your hero George? What hope for the future are your children supposed to garner from your hero George? This is kind of the big problem that we're having on the left, like King Von, right? You have no heroes. And this is a fundamental problem. This is almost like an existential problem. Like our black origin story cannot only be slavery, oppression, the white man bad. Because then your only possible chance at being a hero is you got to overcome white supremacy, which none of you niggas will ever do. So like when we having these whole little red pill conversation, these women be like, "You niggas got to defeat the white man." That is an impossible task. That is her telling you that I will never respect you. I have the right to never respect you because you can never do the impossible. So it's like we start from a framework where heroism in and of itself is just out of reach. You just can't have it. You can't access it. Doesn't belong to you. And so where are you supposed to go from that point, right? How do you build up from your hero is a dope fiend who lived a dope fiend life and died like a dope fiend? Where do you go from that? What do you take from that spiritually? And these may be hard things to like think through, right? But this is kind of what I've been thinking about a lot. If these are your heroes, what does it say about you? Because very few of you people, I'm like I was one from the jump, like, nah, fuck that guy. I'm willing to live without him. His loss meant nothing to us, but you niggas let him be a hero. And so now that he's our hero, what does that say about you? What does that say about black people if he's our saint? He's our patron saint, all right? We came out like that for George, and they came out even greater for Charlie. And if you think Charlie is racist, then this seems like, racism is the new vibe. I just hope you can understand and connect those dots. If you think Charlie is racist, then it seems like racism is the new vibe. The Bunker TV says, Hood, why so harsh on George? We all smoked a little crack before. Nah, nah, that nigga Viper made a whole song about me. Say, y'all cowards don't even smoke crack. What's up with that? None of y'all cowards don't even smoke crack. He was talking about me, bro. I ain't never. That was not me, bro. That was not me. How many of you niggas is too scared to smoke crack? This is why we're not heroes in the black community. I just don't have what it takes, bro. I do not have what it takes, all right? You gonna catch me up there hitting the pipe one day. I can be your hero, Keisha. I can go fight that white man. Nah, bro, I do not have what it takes, bro. This is why I am not a hero to these niggas, bro. I can't be. George was a hero. George was literally a hero. That nigga was brave. He was fearless. Any drug, I'll do it. Well, you gotta shoot it, snort it, you smoke it, you shove it up your ass, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. He was brave. He was willing. He was ready, willing, and able. That's why he was a hero. That's why he was a hero, bro. He knew the path. He knew what it took, bro. He wasn't no coward. That's why black folk loved it in him. That's why he got statues, multiple statues. They got statues in places he ain't never been before. That's how you know he is a black hero. That is what it takes, bro. That's what you have to do. Remember, like back in the day when they had that McDonald's commercial where Calvin got a job? Calvin bitch ass wasn't trying to be no hero. Calvin wasn't saving nobody. Calvin wasn't gonna be. He wasn't getting no statues put up in the community. Punk ass niggas smell like French fry oil. But George, when George died, he smelled like fentanyl and Black and Miles, right? Like a real nigga. Like a heroic nigga, fentanyl and Black and Miles, bro. That's how heroic niggas go out. You ain't even a real nigga if you ain't smoked a little bit of crack. But like this is kind of the whole gist of it though. Like in the grand scheme of things, when I listen to these conversations in the chitlin circuit, whether or not I'm even on a panel, just listening and observing, I'm on my Jane Goodall. I'm out here doing field research and shit. I'm up in the mist with the actual gorillas and shit. I'm out here studying, putting it in. And I've observed what I can only describe as a lack of moral clarity, generally speaking, in Das Community. As it goes, Das Community is a gigantic moral gray area. Like, have you ever encountered a people who almost to a man, not all, but most, but have you ever encountered a people who are just generally morally gray? And one of the reasons why I say the things I say, especially one of the reasons why I say that, is because outside of black as a general principle, which is subjective in and of itself, it literally has its own values and morals from person to person within Black America. But outside of black as a general moral compass of sorts, there is no true moral philosophy that has taken hold in Black America. Which is to say that technically I wouldn't even consider Black America all that Christian. I don't think the black churches are all that Christian. You niggas might as well be fucking Mormons as far as I'm concerned at this point. You might as well just bite the bullet. Excuse me, would you like to have a conversation about Jesus Christ and his Latter-day Saints? Like you niggas might as well be fucking Mormons. I don't know if you even qualify as Christians. I mean, if I see one more church with some Afrocentric dashiki fist holding a microphone aesthetic bullshit, I'm going no for real. Like I don't even know for real that you niggas are actual Christians anymore. You're like black Christians, which is like which is like saying you're gay Christians, which is like saying you're Muslim Christians or something. It's like combining two things that need not combine and technically likely clash anyway. The shit is really starting to look kind of odd to me. And so like making this observation over time, I realized that the niggas have no core anything. There is no core. Niggas have no core. You niggas need to do some philosophical, spiritual squats and lunges and shit. You niggas have no core. Weak and flabby at the core. Philosophically flabby. Out of shape. Spiritually out of shape. SKC says, how can you have a philosophy formed from the community if they can't grasp their home language? That's an interesting thing. Yeah, you niggas need a better command of the English language before you even try to get all philosophical about your existence and shit. How can you get existential if you don't quite comprehend existential? Unclass says, black man fight back. Fight back with what though? Because what I really come to accept is that blackness, and take Freeman's Journal, you kind of put it out there perfectly. Blackness, in and of itself, it exists to object whiteness, which is to almost say that blackness unto itself does not exist, right? If blackness only exists to reject whiteness, to oppose whiteness, then if whiteness were to disappear, it's almost to say that you niggas would have disappeared. So, like, put it this way: if your values are somehow, this anti-racist thing, if your core being is, I'm black, therefore I have to resist white supremacy or whatever, once the white man is gone, you have nothing. There's nothing to you. There's nothing at your core. There's no value. There's no principle at your core. And that is why Stephen Miller, in his speech that maybe tomorrow we're going to listen to in German, because the German edit is dope. But Stephen Miller, when he started talking about the liberals versus the conservatives, he said, we are the ones that build. We are the ones that create. The liberals have nothing. They are nothing. And God damn, bro. God damn it, Stephen. That sounded a little bit racist when he said it, though. I ain't gonna lie. It sounded racist when that bald headed, angry white man said it. What are you talking about, Wills? But yeah, it's just, are we the baddies? That's kind of the funny point I've been thinking about, not just with Charlie Kirk, but for a while now. But trying to figure out a way to have that particular conversation. And it just seems like this whole Kirk thing, it brought it right up to the surface where, do you think Black America looks morally superior in this moment? That was the price of making Floyd our hero. Was that ever since the civil rights era, ever since we had you know marches on Washington, we had that visceral visual image of getting dogs sicked on us and hoses sprayed on us and police beating people and all that. And all that stuff kind of played out on like live television for the first time ever as a technology. And like now we have live streaming. So like back in that day of the civil rights era, live television was a technology new unto itself, right? And now we have live streaming as a new platform. And our visceral visual image of the day is now Charlie Kirk being killed. And much how black folk gained the moral superiority from that moment with that new technology and that new era, we now have lost it. And not just because Charlie was killed on camera. Black folk could have easily sidestepped the bullet, but we jumped right in front of this one. And we made sure that we deserve to be hated as much as the left wing person who shot him, and as much as all the Transifa people out there who believe in his agenda and whatnot. We are now siding with the Transifa army. We are now just as culpable as everybody else who actually hates the country for reasons that have nothing to do with a legitimate slavery grievance. Even me giving some tiny bit of legitimacy to to the slave grievance, those niggas don't have anywhere near the kind of grievance that you have. And so now, and siding with what could be the worst possible of all choices over what could otherwise be argued is at this point a historical blip in the general record. It is as if Black America has finally revealed itself to be the problem. Are we the baddies? And not to mention, don't even get me started on all the historical revisionism that has been happening as of late. Like the sympathy well is going to run dry within all of our living, within all of our lifetimes. Within like the next 20 years, we're going to see a swing in public life that is probably like unimaginable. Like I can't even predict how it's going to look. SKC, I'll let you know when it gets too far, right? This is always the conversation SKC and I have, right? How far is too far? What does too far look like? Bro, it's so far away, I don't even know what it could look like. Another New Jack swing. Ah, nah. I gotta put this one in the bag. Thank you guys for coming out and supporting the show today. I was just getting some thoughts off my chest, had some things swirling around my mind. Appreciate you guys sitting here with me as I work out these ideas. You guys are fun to talk to. You guys are great listeners. Has anybody ever told you guys are great listeners, by the way? It really is true. It's really, really true. You guys are dope. But I gotta go drive a truck for a little while. I might get on another channel. I might get on another panel or something. Who knows? We'll see what kind of conversations are going on in the Chitlin circuit. You say the Black community is the scorned baby mama of the West. I made a comment like that before, like the way black folk relationship to white folk is almost like, fuck you, dad, I need money. Like, long story short, it kind of boils down to that. Fuck you, I need some money, dad. It's like a very, very toxic family we got right now. We gotta work this out. We need counseling. Black America and white America, we need counseling. Not that gay counseling that they do on TV and shit. Like we need an Orthodox priest to intermediate or something. We need something old school. And an ice bath, a national ice bath. I think that would help. Old school counseling and an ice bath. I think that maybe that's how we start to heal. We got to purify ourselves in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. We need an exorcist. All right, I'm gonna leave you guys the hell alone. Okay, all right, all right, all right. It's over. It's over. The dream is dead. The dream is dead. Get back to your day. Whatever it is you were doing that was more important than this, go get it done now. You guys have a great day.
Somebody had to do it. I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it.
aspiring to be patriarchs like what white men have, that isn't freedom. That isn't going to help anybody. It's certainly not going to help black people.
It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done.
None of these niggas have motion except for me. There has to be one real nigga left in America, in this damn country.